I want to share a mysterious story that I witnessed myself unwillingly. It took place in the apartment of my friend Natasha. She and her mother lived across the street from us. Her mother worked in shifts. Sometimes there were night shifts. We visited each other often. We spent all our free time together. I used to stay overnight at their place. We also went to school together. We were in the 8th grade at the time. One morning she told me there was something strange going on in her apartment at night. She could hear in the kitchen someone rattling the dishes and moving the furniture around. It didn't seem like anything strange. But her mother was at work that night. I told her I thought I heard something. Afterward, she told me quite often about these kinds of noises going on all over the apartment. Her stories bothered me. And of course, I believed her. But it was hard for me to imagine it. On a frosty February morning, I got a phone call. It was a frightened Natasha. She asked me to come to her apartment because there was stomping and banging, even though she was home alone. I went to her house. When I entered, I didn't notice anything strange. We sat down in her room and had tea. A few minutes passed, and I heard a distinct clattering in the hallway. My first thought was that it was their cats, they had two at the time. But when I asked, Natasha nodded toward the corner. Both cats huddled in it and frightenedly looked at us. Then moved their gaze down the hallway and watched someone unseen. The clattering sound intensified. Something was rattling. The carpet on the wall began to move, as if the wind was blowing beneath it. This horror lasted until Natasha's mother came home. We told her everything, but she calmly said that it was normal for this apartment. That night my friend slept very badly. She woke up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat. Someone was pulling her hair. We decided to spend the next night together since my mother was off to work on the night shift. Honestly, it was a creepy night. Everything in the apartment was shaking. Strange noises were heard not everywhere. We fell asleep after midnight. I don't remember the exact time. In the middle of the night I felt someone walking all over me. The hair on my head really stirred with horror. I felt someone's invisible small feet on me. Natasha wasn't asleep either. She was sitting on the bed, shaking and trembling. A few minutes passed in silence. Only then was she able to tell me what had happened. It turned out that she had been awakened by frequent breathing over her ear. When she opened her eyes she saw a black shadow looming over her. My first impulse was to get out of there as fast as I could. We pulled ourselves together, and at 5 a.m. we rushed out of that awful apartment. After that incident, Natasha's only wish was to get out of the apartment. She started to talk her mother into selling it. Naturally, Mom refused. She told us that a long time ago a bad grandmother had lived here. When she and Natasha's father bought the apartment, things like that were going on there too. Only the women felt this presence in the apartment. The men did not feel anything strange. And the phenomena did not manifest themselves in front of them. Although men did not stay long in that apartment. Natasha's father thought his wife was imagining things. Then, without saying anything to him, her mother invited a priest to visit. After that everything in the apartment calmed down. This time we also decided to consecrate the apartment in the near future. As my friend later told me, that night after the decision had been made, the apartment seemed to have become angry. There was a rattle of dishes, you could hear the stomping, even howling. This time even Natasha's mother heard and saw everything. I think this contributed to the fact that a day later a priest visited their apartment. The room was consecrated. The frightened family waited anxiously for the night to come. The night after the consecration all was quiet and peaceful. As far as I know, since then, everything in that apartment has calmed down and quieted down. Except that the men are still not settling in there.